One thing I do want to ask you on is obviously you came in and your first manager. We're definitely going to talk about the second manager, but your first manager, Peter Reid. There'll be a lot of fans, a lot of people listening to this who are a lot of Sunderland fans who I think will really appreciate this. I mean, what were your first impressions of him in the first 2 months, and was there anything that really stood out about him?
Yeah, he was funny, mate. He was funny and the kind of guy that you like immediately. I liked him as soon as I met him. I met him and then turned the move down to Sunderland. That's the first time I ever met Peter Reid. He offered me a contract. I met him in a pub up there in the northeast, and I just liked him straight away. He's that kind of character that you like. And he was brilliant for me. And in them first 10 games, he was probably one of my favourite managers I've ever had, Peter Reid. But obviously he had to move on, and then you already mentioned the second man that came in. He was just a disaster, especially when you've had a guy like Peter Reid that is like really on the side of the players. He's everyone's mate, but if you do something wrong, he's going to let you know. He was real honest kind of character. So he was one of my favourite managers, mate, I ever played under.
So, like, would you say Peter Reid's main strength as a manager? Because obviously, like, not that I can really remember, but like a lot of Sunderland fans have got really fond memories of him. Would you say like his main strength as a manager was his man management?
Yeah, his man-to-man management, without doubt. He sort of called me in his office before the 10 games in, we played Newcastle. And he sort of called me in the office and he was telling me how big the game was, and if I needed to call him the night before, he's on the end of the phone, he'll speak to me, and because if I'm nervous, he wants to settle me down. And I was like, listen, Gaffer, I've played in big games before, don't worry about it. But he did the right thing, because once I got in that game, I realised how big it was, because I played in Leicester Derby, Leicester Nottingham Forest. I thought they were big games. Yeah. When you play for the first time in that Newcastle Sunderland game, and you literally can feel that everyone in black and white wants to murder you. That's what it felt like. It was. Did
you get spat on one time? You got spat on by a Newcastle fan or something along those lines?
Yeah, I got spat on in that game, mate. Well, when we pulled up to that game, it was at St James's Park. A Newcastle fan called my name, and I looked at him, and he spat on me in my face. So I sort of dropped my bag that I had with me, and I was trying to get to him and tried to fight, but he riled me up before the game. And it was not great, obviously. Yeah. And then when you get out there, you still got all that sort of anger. And then 2 minutes in, Bellamy gets the ball and he pushes it past me in the box. So I lean on him, just shoulder barge, and he goes down, and all that Newcastle nuggets, you know what they're like, they all go up in the air like crying for a penalty. So, and the referee blows his whistle. So I think he's gave a penalty. So I lashed the ball in the crowd, turned round, and the refs gave a free kick to Sunderland for Bellamy diving. So anyway, we lose 2-0. After the game, there's a knock at the door from 2 policemen, and they say that when you lash the ball in the crowd, you knocked a 60-year-old like Newcastle fan out, old lady. She had to go hospital. So I was like, oh, shit, what do you want me to do? And they said, well, you've got to send us some kind of gesture. So I took my Sunderland shirt off and sent it off, signed it to the lady that I knocked out in the crowd. I'm really sorry. Matt Piper. And then the worst thing about that story is, mate, 2 weeks later, I got that shirt back in the post with this little note saying, keep your shirt, I don't want it.
I mean, to be fair, like the last thing in the world I would want in that situation would be a Newcastle shirt. I would probably just burn it.
Yeah, but that's the banter that I had. I probably knew she'd send it back, but I had to do something, so I sent her my shirt.
Yeah, I mean, in a game like that, can you really be expected to always just keep your emotions intact? Like even as a fan, it means so much to me, but I can imagine as a player when you've actually got to perform. As a fan, it's a horrible feeling. You're almost feeling like you can't influence the game, but when you've actually got the responsibility of making sure that you pay back the fans and that the atmosphere that you're feeling, you're able to just play knowing under that conditions, I would imagine that's a really unique feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I like that feeling in that game. Like that Newcastle fan obviously pissed me off, but in that game, I like that feeling that I could influence that game. and I could do something. And I thought we were going to, I didn't know if we were going to win, because that was a really good Newcastle side, but I thought we was going to go there and get a result. And when you come out and you got that nervous energy, you feel nervous, but it's not like a debilitating kind of nerves. It's a nerves that makes you want to run faster, jump higher, do the best skills you can do. And we started that game really well. I got the ball a few times in the first half, and I enjoyed that feeling, because when you go on a run there at Newcastle, and all the Sunderland fans are sort of like right high up in the stadium behind one of the goals, and you can hear them, and it spurs you on. But then obviously when Bellamy scores and Shearer scores and it's 2-0, you're gutted. So, but it was a brilliant memory, mate. One that I'll always have and I'll always cherish. Even though we lost, just to play in one of those games and represent Sunderland in a time where Derby was massive for me.
Yeah. Would you say that, like, obviously I know Leicester's your home club, but would you say the Sunderland fans are the most intense you've ever experienced? I know you